Welcome everyone to the Training Playbook series, your go-to guide for making workplace trainings actually work. Every company claims to invest in employee training, yet the numbers don't lie. 70% of employees forget what they learned within a day. Within a week, that number actually jumps to 90%. So, what's wrong? The problem isn't just boring content, it's the way we train. And in this series, we are going to fix that. Over the next few episodes, we'll break down the biggest challenges in training and show you how to design programs that employees remember, apply, and actually love. No fluff, just real insights, case studies, and strategies that work in today's fast moving world. Think of this as just a blueprint on how to build trainings that stick, engage, and deliver real results for your employees. And to make sure we are not just talking theories, I am joined by Jaya, an expert in corporate trainings and behavior change. Jaya has spent years designing high impact training programs for global teams, helping companies move beyond check the box trainings into real skill building and transformation. Jaya, you have seen the good, the bad, and the ineffective in workplace training. So, what's the biggest issue today?
Thanks, Prachi. Excited to be here. Now let's dive into what I think is one of the biggest challenge in training today. We've all seen it, training that's packed with information but lacks the necessary action. It's like we're checking off a box instead of truly investing in the growth of our teams. Companies often treat training as one and done event. They just create a session, send out a deck, and call it a day. But here's the truth, real learning doesn't happen in just one sitting. It's not just about passing along knowledge, it's about shifting behavior, that is, building actual skills. And then learning needs to be a continuous process, not just a one off experience. So, if we want to make a real impact, we need to rethink how we approach training. It's about creating environments that foster true lasting growth. And that's what we're going to explore today.
That makes so much of sense, Jaya. So before we talk solutions, let's just address the real questions. Why do so many training programs fail? And what does it take to design trainings that actually stick? So let's just dive in. Let's just start with Jaya. Organizations across industries are spending billions a year on corporate training. Yet, we constantly hear complaints like our employees aren't applying what they learned. After a few months, they forget most of the content, and even trainings felt like a tick box exercise and not something meaningful. So, why is this happening?
Let's break it down. Here are three hidden killers of ineffective training programs that we need to be aware of. Content overload without application. We all have been there. Training programs that bombard us with a massive amount of information in a short time. It's likely to be trying to drink from a fire hose. Impossible to retain, right? What happens is employees aren't truly engaged with the content, they're just consuming it and moving on. The real issue is that without giving employees a chance to immediately apply what they've learned, they're going to forget it. Knowledge without action doesn't stick. Training needs to provide opportunities for hands on application and reinforcement to make the information meaningful. Then, lack of immediate relevance. Here's the thing, if employees can't use what they've learned within the next day or two, they're going to forget it. We've all seen how quickly training can slip away when it doesn't directly tie to what they're going or what they're doing in day in and day out. For example, take sales reps learning negotiation strategies. If they're hearing about theory without any way to practice it, they'll likely forget it. But when you give them a chance to role play real life scenarios during the session, that knowledge becomes immediately relevant. I'll never forget when I first tried this approach years ago at Airmeet. It was a game changer. I watched as all my sales reps started speaking the same language and using the same model during their role play assessment. The key was giving them a practical model they could internalize and letting them do it themselves. There is one more. Passive one size fits all learning, a 2-hour webinar might not sound like a good idea. But let's be honest, it doesn't work for everyone. Not all employees learn in the same way. Some people are visual learners, other needs interaction, and some needs hands-on practice to really internalize concepts. If we want to truly engage our teams, we need to break away from the passive one size fit all approach, mixing up methodologies using visual interactive elements and real practice that can make training way more effective.
Definitely, Jan. In fact, I was reading somewhere like 76% want to learn, but only 12% actually use what they learn. And honestly, I've been in those situations myself, sitting through long training sessions thinking, how does this help me today? And if training doesn't feel actionable, it's just a noise. So, how do we fix it? And what separates high impact training programs from those that just check a box?
Now, here's the playbook for training that actually sticks. Make learning contextual, not theoretical. We all know that when training is purely theoretical, it's hard to relate to the real world scenarios and situations. So let's change that. Every training session needs to tie directly to the challenges employees are facing day to day. For example, instead of just teaching how to give feedback, turn it into a feedback challenge. Have managers record real time feedback sessions, get coached on their approach, and then refine it with actionable insights. This isn't just about learning in theory, it's about practicing real situations in a way that's relevant and immediately useful. Then engaging multi format learning. Gone are the days when slides and lectures were the gold standards. Let's make learning engaging, interactive, and hands on. Mix things up with simulation, pure learning, case studies, and maybe more. Take a moment to picture this. I once ran a training for my sales team, and instead of just going through slides on negotiation tactics, we broke it into small groups thanks to the breakout rooms on Meet and simulated real sales scenario. We even did live role playing. This wasn't just the theory anymore. They got to practice the techniques in real time with their peers, and that peer learning, that's the game changer. The team learned from each other's experience, which helped them refine their skills and as they went. And what was the result? Think of it: better performance, higher engagement, and more confidence because they weren't just listening, they were actively doing it. Right? And that's not it. One important thing that we need to understand is we need to shift from event based to the process based training. Training shouldn't be just a one time event, it needs to be a continuous journey. Take a page from Deloitte's playbook, their leadership academy, moving from one off leadership workshops to a blended model that incorporated coaching, peer feedback, and monthly challenges. The result: 37% higher skill retention. And that's not just a theory, it's backed by the real data from Deloitte's Insight. So companies with a strong learning culture see 30 to 50% higher engagement and retention rates. This is according to the LinkedIn's Workplace Learning Report. When training becomes part of an ongoing process, people are far more likely to stay engaged, learn deeply, and apply those skills over time.
I love that. So, this isn't just about making trainings fun, but it's more about making it stick so that employees remember it. And because at the end of the day, if people walk away from a training session and can't recall or apply what they learned, what's the point of leadership giving the trainings? But here's the real challenge. Why do some trainings actually work while the others fade away the moment employees get back to work? It turns out it's not just about the content, it's about how people learn. We've all been in training sessions where someone says, I need to see it visually, while another person says, I need to hear it explained. Most training programs assume that employees will just absorb information like sponges. Training programs are built on the assumption that if we just share information, people will remember it. But we know that this is not how learning works. So, what do you have to say about it, Jaya?
Correct. People don't learn by just listening, they learn by doing it. And that's why understanding different learning style is key to effective training. Let's break it down. So, we have three different types of learners that I'll be talking about. We have visual learners, that's around 65%. These learners need to see things to truly grasp them. Diagrams, videos, animations, these are their tools. For example, Unilever used micro learning videos that helped boost retention by 25%. That's a huge difference, right? All from leveraging the power of visuals. Then we have auditory learners, there are about 30%. For these learners, it's all about the sound, discussions, storytelling, podcast like the one we are doing. They need to hear information to process it effectively. Then we have kinesthetic learners. There are around 5%, but we can't avoid that's very important too. This group needs to physically engage with the material. For example, role playing, hands on practice, simulations. These are the ways kinesthetic learners thrive. For example, Airbus uses VR simulations for pilot trainings, cutting training time by 30%. Imagine how much more efficient training becomes when you are immersed in the experience rather than just reading about it. So, what's the takeaway? The most effective training program don't just cater to one learning style. They blend all three: visual storytelling, interactive discussions, and hands on practice. When you combine all these elements, you're not just reaching one type of learner, you're ensuring that everyone gets the best experience possible.
This makes so much sense. I personally retained way more from hands on experience than just reading the slide. For everyone watching, when designing trainings, don't assume one format works for all. Mix it up basis of the employees. So now let's talk about what companies should be doing instead. What are the top training formats that deliver results today?
Here are five innovative learning models that are shaping the future of training. I'll start with micro learning, where content delivered is in the bite sized chunk, which could be 5 to 7 minutes, which makes it easier to absorb and retain information. For example, LinkedIn Learning uses micro learning to help users quickly pick up skills and fit learning into their busy schedules. And studies also shows that it boosts retention and engagement. Then we have cohort based learning. Small groups learn together, fostering collaboration and a sense of community. This model often used in leadership development or online MBA program. You might have heard of it. So it encourages feedback and shared learning, which increases motivation and learning outcomes. Then we have blended learning. So this is a hybrid model that combines online learning with in-person instructions. It offers flexibility for learners to access material at their own pace while still benefiting from hands on practice and group discussions in a live session. It's a flexible approach without losing the personal touch. So, recommended one especially for hybrid companies or for remote companies. Then we have scenario based training. That's hands on simulation immersed employees in real world situations. Like the example that I gave earlier, Airbus, for instance, they uses VR to train their pilots. It cuts training time by 30%. This approach enhances critical thinking, retention, and confidence by letting learners experience from complex scenarios in a low risk environment. Then we have on the job coaching. Training is integrated into the workplace with real time feedbacks. For example, at AirMeet, also we have a buddy program where new employees shadow experienced colleagues receiving immediate guidance. This model accelerates learning by blending theory with practical experiences. By embracing these models like micro learning, cohort based learning, blended learning, scenario based learning, and on the job coaching, companies can provide employees with the tool they need to succeed, improve their performance, and contribute to the organization's success. Each model offers unique advantages, but when combined, they create a robust and dynamic learning ecosystem that enhances employees' development and engagement.
So, Jaya, what's the number one thing companies should do starting today to improve their training?
It's simple. Ditch the one and done mindset. Training can't just be a single session and then forgotten. It needs to be interactive, personalized, and reinforced over time. Otherwise, it's just a noise. When training is built into the flow of work and supports real world application, that's when it truly makes a difference.
Thank you so much, Jaya, for these really great insights. And that's a wrap for episode one. Stay tuned for our next episode on how to make these virtual trainings engaging and high impact. Don't miss out to subscribe now.